This is the turn. PGA Tour, broken down week by week. Let's get into it. Third major of the year. The US Open returns to Shinnecock Hills in Southampton, New York, June 18th through the 21st. And this year, the storylines almost write themselves. World number one, Scottie Scheffler, has a chance to do something only 6 men in the history of golf have ever done. Complete the career Grand Slam. It'd be the 7th, and he'd do it on a golf course that has chewed up and spit out some of the best players alive. Oh, and Sunday, June 21st, also happens to be Scheffler's 30th birthday. And Father's Day. Let's get into it. Let's start with the big one. Scottie Scheffler is 1 win away from the career Grand Slam. The Masters, the PGA Championship, the Open Championship, and the US Open. He's already got the first 3. This week is his first ever shot at the 4th. If he does it, he becomes the 7th player in history to complete the career Grand Slam, joining Gene Sarazen, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, and fresh off doing it himself last year, Rory McIlroy. And it'd be just the 4th player ever to complete it on his first attempt at the final leg. Here's the twist though. Scheffler enters this week a little quieter than we are used to seeing him. He's got 1 winner season, and that was back in January at the American Express, his 20th career PGA Tour title. Since then, solid but not dominant. He was tied 24th at the Arnold Palmer Invitational in March, his worst finish in over a year. But it's also been right there. 4 top 10s in the last 5 US Opens, and he just finished runner-up at the Masters in April, 1 shot behind McIlroy. And the course might actually straighten. The USGA has reshaped Shinnecock for this year's setup. Wider fairways, averaging close to 48 yards compared to 42 yards back in 2018. That's a big shift, and it could open the door for longer hitters. Scheffler's short game has quietly become elite too. He's currently top 5 on tour in strokes gained around the green and 3rd in scrambling. On a course this unforgiving, that kind of up and down ability could be the separator. So picture this. The most dominant player of this generation coming up the quietest stretch of his career at a golf course with a brutal reputation, with a chance at history on his 30th birthday. You couldn't write it better. Now let's talk about the course itself, because Shinnecock has a history of humbling the best players in the world. This is the 6th time the US Open has been played, at the course. The last time, 2018, it was brutal. Bruce Koepka won at 1 over par for a 281. This is the last time. That's the last time the US Open champion has finished over par, and it's not particularly close. The conditions were so tough that weekend that the USGA actually had to ease up the setup after Saturday, where only a handful of players broke par all day. This year, the USGA says they are going for something different. Wider fairways. Okay, wider is not a bad idea. Looking at close to 48 yards on average compared to the 42 they had in 2018. And they are targeting slower green speeds, especially given how many of Shinnecock's green sit up on exposed, windswept porches. But here's the catch, though. I wouldn't let wider fairways fool anyone to thinking this is going to play easy. I don't think so. Players have already been talking about how demanding the green complexes are. Scheffler himself said this week that even with generous fairways, missing them out there leaves you with almost no chance. And the greens can be set up to be as hard as the USGA wants, regardless of where this t-shirt ends up. Here's the bottom line. Shinnecock rewards accuracy and elite shot games, and it punishes mistakes more than almost any course on the US Open rotation. That's exactly the kind of test that could either tee Scheffler up for history or be the very thing that makes this Grand Slam bid wait another year. Boy, let's do a quick hit before we wrap up the storylines. Because you've been following the last two majors with us. I covered the last two majors, and if you all know what happened there, you probably know where this is going. Rory McIlroy won the Masters back in April, his second straight green jacket, making him just the fourth player ever to go back-to-back at Augusta, joining Nicklaus. So he joins Nicklaus, Fardo, and Woods. That's a major number 6 for Rory. I remember my episode 4 storyline. He don't ride. He won his first major at the PGA Championship in May, after grinding it out for years on the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour. So of the first two majors this year, Europeans have won both. And Scheffler was the runner-up at the Masters, one shot back of McIlroy. Does that trend continue at Shinnecock? McIlroy is in conversation as one of the favorites for the US Open also. He's a favorite. And after the episode 5 recap, we already had that brutal whiff at Memorial. There's a real redemption arc angle if you can show up big again on the major stage. But that's the framing for this week. Scheffler chasing history on a course built to deny it, with McIlroy and the rest of the European contingent looking to keep their strange hold on 2026 majors going. That's going to be interesting. Europeans clearing the PGA majors in 1 year. That would be exciting. But I believe Scheffler and the Americans they're going to have a say in that. Here are a few things I'll be tracking once the action gets going on Thursday. Number 1 is how Scheffler putter looks early. He's lean on a claw grip the last couple seasons, and on greens this tricky. That's going to be tested immediately. Secondly, I'm going to look at the scoring relative to par after round 1. If guys are struggling to break par like 2018, that changes the entire complexion of this week. If scores are lower, it might mean the wider fairways are doing exactly what the USGA hoped. Thirdly, I'm going to keep an eye on Rory and the rest of the European group. If the major winning trend from earlier this year holds, this could turn into another statement week for that side of the draw. That's the preview of the 2026 US Open at Shinnecock Hills. Scheffler going for the Grand Slam on his 30th birthday, a golf course with a real mean streak, and a European wave that's looking to make it 3 majors in a row. I'll be back after the weekend with a full recap. Until then, this has been The Turn. Thanks for watching.